All right, let's have some more analysis on this. Let's bring in former federal prosecutor David Weinstein, partner at Jones Walker. David, great to speak with you again. So we just heard from Representative Santos there. He does say that the media is not jury nor judge, which is certainly true here. We need to let this play out in the legal system. But these are serious charges we're talking about. What kind of consequences could Santos realistically see?
Well, Nichole, good to speak with you again. These are significant charges. There are 7 counts of wire fraud that carry penalties of up to 20 years. He's charged with lying to Congress on his disclosure forms, of defrauding unemployment. He's looking at, under the sentencing guidelines, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 years, and then convictions for all of these counts. He will no longer be able to hold a public office. He'll lose, his civil rights, amongst other things. They're looking to forfeit and recover the money that he obtained. So these are very significant and serious charges. And in addition to all of that, there's money laundering charges where they're alleging he concealed the money that he had obtained through his wire fraud scheme.
All right, so David, as Sloan just told us now, the representative is scheduled to be back in court at the end of next month. But what happens next? What kind of defense do you expect Santos and his legal team to mount?
Well, the case is off and rolling. He's entered his not guilty plea, so he's been not only an initial appearance, but an arraignment. The process starts under the rules. His case needs to be brought to trial within 75 days unless there's a request for a continuance. They're going to be given the documents that the government's relied upon to base these charges. They'll have an opportunity and an obligation to provide the government with whatever documents they have that rebut the charges. Interestingly, we heard him say that this has been a cooperative process thus far. Perhaps his lawyers were talking to the department beforehand, had provided documents, and the departments rejected those. So they'll be engaging in an exchange of information, and he will prepare his defense. It seems to be he's denying having taken the funds and spent them on personal goods and items and personal expenses rather than on his campaign, which is what it is alleged he was requesting donations for. Claims there was confusion with regard to the unemployment benefits that he applied for and received. And seems to me he's talking about people who should have been responsible for accounting for him in order to enable him to completely and accurately fill out his form with the House of Representatives, which is what the false statements claim is made on. So a lot's going to happen in the next couple of months as far as his defense goes.
All right, so David, last question for you here. A lot of people see this. They may think this is unprecedented. It is not necessarily. There is a precedent for a lawmaker to remain in Congress after an indictment. Talking about New Jersey Democrat Bob Menendez, he did stay in office despite being indicted, and those charges were ultimately dropped. The details are certainly different in these cases, but do you expect to see Santos cling to his seat in Congress? I mean, we just heard him say right there he does plan to run again.
He absolutely is going to cling to his seat. Look, whether we like our system or not, it's our system, and you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. And as you mentioned, that's what happened with Senator Menendez. He was indicted. He was presumed innocent. He took his case to trial. The judge dismissed a number of charges against him. The jury hung on the remaining counts. And at that junction, the Department of Justice decided they weren't going to proceed, and the case was dropped. He never lost his seat in the Senate. He successfully run for re-election again. The facts are different. There were a large number of differences between the facts of Senator Menendez's case and this case. But the facts will come out in court, and perhaps a jury will decide. But during that time and through the run of this all, he retains his seat in Congress. There are rules within Congress about what committees he'll be allowed to serve on now that he's been indicted, but he still represents the people who he was elected to represent, and he'll still vote on issues before Congress. And up until he's convicted, he'll still hold that seat.
All right. Well, day 2, David, of you joining us here on NewsNation Now for breaking news. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It may be day 3. Thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure to speak with you, Nichole.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.